I never pictured myself as the type to plaster security cameras across my property. But 6 months after moving into Pinewood Estates, I learned they weren't a luxury, they were survival gear. Not for thieves, mind you, but for something far more relentless, our HOA president, Lydia Harper. From day one, she made it her mission to welcome me, thrusting a 3-ring binder, 178 pages of Homeowners Association bylaws, into my hands. "I suggest you memorize these," she said, her smile tight and unconvincing. "I run a tight ship here at Pinewood. We don't tolerate rule breakers. I'm an electrical engineer, designing security systems for a living." So when Lydia started her unannounced yard patrols, ruler in hand, measuring grass, snapping photos of every infraction, I didn't hesitate. I wired my place with a full setup. Doorbell cams, motion sensors, the works. It wasn't paranoia. It was instinct. Something about her obsessive control set my nerves on edge. My garage was my refuge, a weekend haven for electronics projects. I kept it spotless. Not for HOA approval, but because precision defines me. Tools hung on pegboards. Shelves labeled. Floor gleaming. I'd rigged extra security there too, motion-activated cameras pinging my phone instantly. My gear was valuable, sure. But it was more than that. I'd rather be overprepared than blindsided. Trouble brewed when a violation notice hit my mailbox, claiming my garage door stayed open excessively. Lydia's letter cited a bylaw: doors must stay closed when not in active use for aesthetics and security. I dug into the binder. The rule defined excessive as overnight or when I was gone. Nothing about my Saturday tinkering, door open while I worked inside. I drafted a polite rebuttal, quoting the bylaw's terms, clarifying my compliance, and dropped it in Lydia's mailbox. She insisted on paper over email, claiming digital lacks accountability. At a neighborhood meeting 3 days later, another notice arrived. Visible storage of non-automotive items breached Section 23.4. I checked. 23.4 bans street visible storage when the door is shut. Open, it just says no obvious hazards or eyesores. My tidy workbench was neither. I smelled fabrication. I requested a face-to-face. Arriving with photos of my garage from the street, annotated with bylaw sites. Lydia's face reddened as I laid it out, calmly. "The spirit of the rules matters," she snapped, voice edging up. "Neighbors reported your garage isn't primarily for vehicles." "Which neighbors?" I pressed. "I'd like to address them." She shuffled papers on her dining room table, our meeting spot. "That's confidential. As president, I protect anonymity." I doubted any neighbors cared. "Since we're at odds on interpretation," I said, "let's clarify this at the next HOA meeting." Her eye twitched. "No need. I'll review and respond." I figured that settled it. Lydia Harper didn't strike me as someone who backed down, though. A week passed quietly. I relaxed. Resumed my drone project for a friend's farm. Garage pristine as ever. Then came that Saturday. I'd popped out for groceries, expecting a quick return to my workbench. In the checkout line, my phone buzzed a security alert. I opened the app. Someone was in my garage. At first, I thought, glitch. Maybe a kid? But zooming in, I saw her. Lydia. Blonde bun perfect. Floral dress crisp. Rifling through drawers. Snapping photos. My pulse raced. She wore latex gloves. Inspecting tools. Shifting them slightly. Moving with entitlement. The timestamp showed 15 minutes already. I ditched my cart. Sped home. Live feed on my dashboard. By my driveway, she'd hit the workbench, photographing drone parts, scribbling on a clipboard. The door was closed. She'd used the side entrance, where I now saw faint lock marks. I parked on the street. Dialed the non-emergency line. "Someone's broken into my home," I said, steady. "She's in my garage, on camera, going through my stuff. The dispatcher urged me to wait for police. I watched Lydia. Head shaking. Notes piling. Oblivious to three-angle footage and pings hitting my phone since she tripped the sensors. 10 minutes later, 2 cruisers rolled up, silent. I met the officers. Showed the feed. That's Lydia Harper. HOA president, I said. She's been inside 30 minutes, uninvited. With signs of forced entry. One cop raised an eyebrow. HOA stuff isn't our lane, sir. This isn't HOA, I countered. It's breaking and entering. No permission. No key. And she's tampered with my lock. They nodded. Approached the side door. Knocked hard. Police. Open up. No answer. Harder knocks. The door swung open. Lydia, clipboard in hand, blinked. Then stiffened. Officers, what's the issue? Do you have permission to be here? The senior cop asked. She squared her shoulders. I'm conducting an official HOA inspection. As president, I ensure compliance. Got documentation? Or a key from the owner? She faltered. The bylaws grant the board authority. He's had violations. Uncooperative. The younger cop turned. Sir, did you authorize entry? Or provide a key? Never, I said. Footage shows her forcing the lock. Searching everything. Lydia flushed. The bylaws state. Bylaws don't trump trespassing laws, the senior cop cut in. Show me the rule letting you enter homes without consent. She fumbled through her clipboard. I don't have it here. Section 42 covers inspections. His garage has violations. Doesn't matter, the cop said. Entering without permission is breaking and entering. A crime. Her eyes widened. This is absurd. I'm doing my job. The community relies on me. Her hands shook as they ushered her out. I showed the cops the lock, tool scratches clear. Then the footage. Lydia jimmying the door. Gloved hands prying. 28 minutes of intrusion. Those cameras invade privacy, she barked. The HOA requires approval for exterior installs. The younger cop shook his head. Homeowners can secure their property, ma'am. This footage shows a break-in. Maybe theft. Theft, she shrieked. I was documenting violations. Then why gloves? I asked. Why, when I'm not home? The senior cop Mirandized her. Her face paled. Neighbors peeked out as she was led to the cruiser. Head high. Voice loud. This is a misunderstanding. Official business. I gave my statement. Handed over footage. They said charges breaking and entering, trespassing, possible burglary fit her premeditation. 2 weeks later, an emergency HOA meeting packed the room. Lydia sat sidelined. Not at the head. The vice president explained her arrest. Removal from the board. A plea deal cut charges but left her with fees, service, and a restraining order barring her within 100 feet of me. A new president was voted in. Lydia stood, voice shaky. This community will collapse without leadership. I upheld standards. Silence. She grabbed her purse. Strode out. Pausing at the door to glare at me. Tears brimming. Happy now? You've ruined everything I built. Her heels faded down the hall as chatter erupted. The fallout stretched beyond that night. Word spread. Neighbors whispered about Lydia's overreach. Some apologized for staying silent, admitting they'd feared her wrath. My cameras stayed. Now a neighborhood joke. Lydia proof. I dug deeper into the bylaws. Finding vague clauses she'd twisted. With the new board, we rewrote them. Clear. Fair. No room for abuse. Lydia moved a month later. House sold quietly. I heard she tried joining another HOA board nearby, but got shut down. Her reputation preceded her. My garage remained my sanctuary. Drone finished. No more notices. At the next meeting, a neighbor toasted to living without rulers, literal ones. Laughter rippled. I smiled, knowing Pinewood was finally free of Lydia Harper's reign. And my cameras had sealed her exit for good.